how's audio now?
Very good, thank you.
Very good. All right, let us figure out technology together. Oh, I'm going backwards. There we go. All right. I think we're good. I appreciate everyone for being here today, city councilors, officials, and public as well, as hopefully it's useful information for everyone in the room. Again, my name is Nick Nelson. I've been working with Spirit Water, Light, and Power for 11 years. I happen to feel like I have met most of you in the room through Spirit Days or other boards, but today I'm here for Water Light. So today, my goal is to provide a little bit of education for all of you. We all live around utilities, whether or not you realize it all the time. I mean, I don't lay in bed every night thinking about the utilities around me, but they are there. Utility accidents do happen, although they're rare. But when they do happen, there's some special things we need to be able to identify and consider. So hopefully today we'll walk away from this having a little better knowledge on how to do that. So quick blurb about SWL&P. I feel like everyone in the room is probably familiar. Every word in the name has a meaning, and one that most people don't realize is the light actually refers to natural gas, because way back in the day, natural gas was used to power lamps. So that's where that comes from. And the company's been serving the area since 1889. A little bit of information about utility ownership, if you will. So this is something that feel free to take a look at the presentation later in more detail. There's some things in your house that you own that you might think we own, or vice versa. This helps to describe the difference between the two. So if you ever have an issue within your home that is utility related, it might be up to you to fix it, or it might be something that we'll fix for you. But this graphic helps with that. A little bit about our service areas. We provide electric service within the city, village, and town, as well as Oliver and Parkland. Natural gas is our most spread out utility that we offer to many different towns and villages in the county. A little note, there's a link at the bottom there. If you have the presentation again, you can click the link. It brings you to the National Pipeline Mapping System. It's a national system that shows you where transmission lines are. Transmission natural gas lines. It's a handy little tool. And then for water service, that's strictly the city and the village of Superior. So the topic of locating utilities is an important one that I like to talk with everyone I meet about whenever the topic comes up. You might drive around town, and especially during the summer, you'll see lines painted in the grass or on the road, or you'll see little flags. Those actually all mean something. And what happens is anytime there's a digging activity, ideally 3 days before the activity takes place, you'll call 811, which is Digger's Hotline. This is a hotline that's available for free for everybody. When you call it, they will connect with all of the utilities and different services in the area that might have electric, gas, water, sewer, whatever it might be, buried in the ground. And people from those organizations will come and they will survey the area and they'll mark it for you. The point of all this is to keep you safe and to keep the community safe. Actually, most of our incidences where we have like a gas line that's been broken is someone just digging a hole in their yard to plant a garden or a fence, and they hit the gas line with the shovel, and now you've got gas blowing out through the hole. If we can all take a moment to call Digger's Hotline, then that should be prevented, hopefully. I also have a special note. If you ever are performing any work at height, this is usually more for construction crews, always look up. There's electric lines up there. They can be very dangerous. There'll be a little bit more about that later. A special consideration for transmission pipelines. We only have about 7 or 8 miles of transmission pipeline in the city. It's near the refinery. It's not something that most people are ever really need to be concerned about, but since we have it, I like to talk about it. That is marked with pipeline markers you see in the picture there. And it is within what's called a right-of-way. So it's a linear strip of land. We need to keep it clear of trees and structures. It's something that we inspect regularly for the safety of everybody. But if anything were to get built on there that could potentially damage the pipe, and there's a lot of gas moving through there, that could create a big problem. This quick slide just, again, is mostly informational. Properties of natural gas. If you don't know any of the science behind it, that's just some facts about natural gas. And then pipeline accidents, again, they're a rare occurrence. We happen to hear about them because, as you see, they're dangerous. They're pretty spectacular usually when they happen, newsworthy, if you will. They can create a fire or an explosion. You can get toxic gases. Carbon monoxide poisoning can happen. They can cause dizziness, nausea. Another one that most people don't realize, natural gas being lighter than air, if it were to leak underground, it can migrate. It kind of like worms its way through the channels in the earth, or it can find cracks in buildings. We've had leaks happen outside that migrate underground into a basement because there's just natural cracks and it makes its way in there. So it's just something to consider. A little blurb, you might see this. It's a message we send out every year to our customers. In the winter, make sure to clear the snow around your natural gas meter. If the snow builds up, it can block the vent, which would cause the gas to vent inside your house. That's not good. So mainly for your safety, please clear that. It does help our technicians if we need to get out there too. But for your safety, clear your meter. Here's a few signs of natural gas leaks. If you were to be in an area where you know there's a pipeline and you hear hissing sounds, you can smell an unusual odor, like rotten eggs usually. If you see vegetation that's dead when it shouldn't be, or if the soil is different, unusual, where you could have melted snow in an area you'd expect snow, or if the ground's frozen in the summer for some reason. These are all signs that there could be a natural gas leak. And if that's to happen, you let us know. Last bit of science about natural gas. This is kind of technical, so don't dwell on it too hard, but natural gas is only explosive between 5 and 15% of the volume of air. So if it makes up less than 5% of the total air volume, or more than 15%, it actually can't explode because it's not within the range of the explosive range. So a really interesting science tidbit. We have our crews can sometimes do a fun little demo with bring in a little house and they blow it up. If you ever want to see that, I can try and bring that. I don't know if we can do it in here though. All right, we talked about some of this stuff, but the details on what to do if you encounter a natural gas emergency. Leave the area immediately. If you can, ideally, get 100 feet away and put something between you and the natural gas. Let others in the area know. Try to stay upwind if you can, and then call SWL&P and 911. Again, we have people trained to deal with emergencies. We also do these trainings in much more depth with the fire department, and police will be starting those up soon. So we'll have plenty of well-trained people on site to help. If you are in those situations, don't contact any of the fumes that are coming out, whether gas or water or liquids. Don't attempt to extinguish a fire that's started by natural gas. You will make it worse. Do not attempt to operate a valve on the pipeline or create any ignition source in the vicinity. That's a big one, especially if you smell gas in your home. These are the things we'll tell you if you call us. So don't strike a match, obviously. Any of the other ones might be a little less obvious. Don't use your phone or a light switch, electrical sockets. Don't start your car. Don't open a garage door or anything that's operated by a machine or a motor. And don't ring a doorbell or use your metal door knockers. They can also create sparks. Electric emergencies are a little bit scary to some. You might see the fantastic electrocution or explosions coming from transformers. Something that we really need to kind of be respectful of, but electricity is very safe if we understand it. So the main risks of electrocution, directly touching a line, there's something called transferred touch potential, which is if something that's electrified touches something else that then becomes electrified. There's step potential, which is explained a little bit in that figure there, which I'll talk about. And induction is where something that's electrified creates electrification in another object, but by proximity, it doesn't actually touch it. Step potential comes into play, say, if you're in a vehicle that hits an electric pole and a wire comes down. It's actually best to say stay put unless there's something else threatening your life, like a fire. What'll happen in the situation is you'll get step potential, and you see the circles in the graph kind of radiate out. So what's happening is the voltage, the electric current is in the ground, and it's different. It diminishes as it spreads out. So if you were to walk normally as you would away from the vehicle, you could get electrocuted because the voltage is different in the ground at different points. A little trick, I don't recommend it unless you absolutely have to. You can bunny hop away from the source of electricity, and you should, in theory, not get electrocuted. But again, if you don't have to leave, stay put. Some safety tips, again, always look up if you're doing any sort of work. Keep a 10-foot clearance from electric wires. Assume any wire is electrified at any time. And if it's broken, assume it's electrifying the things around it. As with natural gas, don't attempt to put out an electric fire. You will make it worse. Call us. That's what we're there for. Probably the least dangerous of the three, but I just want to touch on it quick with you all. Water emergency primarily would be a water leak. You'd see water pooling on the ground or in the road. And if it's not raining especially, that's probably a water main leak. Or you might see a leaking hydrant. Just like with flood water, don't drive through it or don't walk into it. Just let us know. Help keep others away. And again, if you see a fire hydrant in town, all the SWL&P fire hydrants are yellow. Privately owned ones are red or not yellow. All right. So that is my really fast run through of utility emergencies. My hope is that you all learned a little something about them. And if we were to encounter one in our area, then you would at least be educated. You may be able to advise the constituents in your area on how to react. Again, and if you have any other questions or if you'd like any other sort of information that's not emergency, non-emergency, my contact information is up there as well. Feel free to give me a call.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, thank you very much.
All right, thank you all for your time.